Welcome to this explainer. I am honestly so pumped to share today's content with you. We are going to unpack some absolutely incredible insights from the fourth annual Escalator Walk Left meetup. Now, this isn't just a quick recap. No, this is a really deep dive into 自我成长与探索, true self-growth and exploration. We're talking about overcoming serious adversity and that relentless, sometimes messy pursuit of finding your true calling. So if you've ever felt stuck in your career or maybe just a little unsure of where your life is heading, trust me, the stories we're getting into today are going to hit close to home. Okay, let's kick things off with a simple but honestly kind of provocative question. Think about the last time you were on an escalator. Do you just stand passively on the right side and let the machine dictate your speed? Or do you walk on the left to actively speed up your journey? That right there is the core metaphor for our entire explainer today. Walking on the left is about refusing to just stand still in life. It's about actively pushing forward, accelerating your personal growth, and taking that road less traveled to reach your absolute full potential faster. Take Jackie, for example, the founder of this whole movement. His life is basically a masterclass in walking on the left. Just look at this crazy rapid-fire journey. He goes from a high schooler in the US, moves back to Taiwan for college, and then heads into the army. But he doesn't just, kill time in the military. He literally uses his downtime to teach himself coding. That one move propelled him all the way to Silicon Valley, eventually landing a super coveted job at Instagram. But this is where it gets really interesting. When his company tried to force a rigid return-to-office mandate after remote work, he didn't just go along with it. He quit. He bought a one-way ticket to his own freedom and took a year-long road trip in his Tesla across U.S. national parks. And it was out there, out on the open road, that the Walk Left philosophy and his podcast were truly born. Jackie's story sets up our first major theme perfectly, because to find out what really drives us, we often have to completely walk away from what is comfortable, predictable, and even highly prestigious. Section 1. Leaving the comfort zone, finding true drive. Consider Walkie's story. The contrast here between the absolute prestige of his job and how he actually felt inside is wild. Walkie was working at TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This is a massive, globally renowned, highly lucrative company. It is literally the dream job for so many people. And yet, he walked away. Why? Because he was just drained by endless meetings. He said he felt like a tiny, invisible screw in this massive corporate machine. He was totally disconnected from the actual impact of his work and realized, you know what? I have to step away to find my actual, authentic inner purpose. So how exactly do you find that inner purpose? Well, Rwaki throws out this incredible thought experiment. Imagine, just out of nowhere, $50 million is dropped directly into your bank account. Bam. You are completely, unquestionably financially set for the rest of your life. Which brings us to the ultimate challenge. If you had that money today, would you still do what you're doing right now for free? Think about that for a second. If your current job or pursuit paid absolutely nothing, would your internal passion still get you out of bed every single day to do it? The point here is crucial. If your answer is yes, you've found your true calling. You've found the thing you should be pouring your energy into, no matter what the market says or who is validating you. Your passion is your compass. But let's be real. The journey of self-growth isn't always sparked by fun thought experiments about being rich. A lot of the time, our deepest self-reflection only happens when we are forced into it, like when we hit absolute rock bottom. Section 2. Gifts from life's lows. Finding your catalyst. This brings us to Mickey's crucible. Mickey is this incredibly extroverted creator. He spends all day talking, connecting, sharing with people. But he hit a devastatingly dark period. His family was brutally scammed, which actually led to them losing their home. He was battling near suicidal despair. And right in the middle of all that, his romantic relationship ended. It was just a massive, overwhelming cascade of tragedy. Yet, hitting this extreme low forced him into a massive internal audit. He realized something profound. He spent all this time talking to his audiences, but he hadn't spent the time cultivating deep, meaningful communication with his own loved ones. To survive this absolute despair, Mickey leaned on this incredibly powerful mental framework for resilience called the time shift reflection. When you're standing right in the middle of a crisis and it feels like you literally cannot go on, you zoom out. You ask yourself, how am I going to view this tragedy in exactly 10 days? Okay, the sting's probably still going to be there, but how about in 10 months? The pain might start to fade a bit. And what about in 10 years? Will this just be a memory of unbearable pain, or will it be the exact catalyst that forced me to become the strongest version of myself? By shifting his perspective to the future like that, he was able to look back at his current pain and actually accept it. And that perfectly captures the beautiful dual meaning of the word present. A present is a gift, right? But it's also the current moment in time. Mickey realized that fully accepting and living in the current moment, even when it is agonizingly painful, is the actual gift. Because facing reality head-on is literally the only way we can ever begin to rebuild it. And we see this exact same need for a perspective shift in totally different high-stress environments too. Meet Dr. Zhang. He's a really dedicated rehab doctor. But his breaking point wasn't some grand cinematic tragedy. It was just the crushing weight of burnout. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. He's in the middle of a grueling hospital shift, desperately trying to catch just a few minutes of sleep. Suddenly, a nurse wakes him up. The big emergency? A patient couldn't sleep and needed a sleeping pill prescribed. The irony of that, combined with sheer exhaustion, made Dr. Zhang snap. He literally wanted to quit medicine entirely right then and there. But rather than just walking away, he pivoted. He turned to reading and personal development, and he ended up attending a workshop on the Satter iceberg model. This psychological framework completely changes how we view frustration. It shows us that our surface behaviors, like Dr. Zhang's sudden, overwhelming urge to quit, are really just the tip of the iceberg. Down beneath the water are all our hidden internal needs, our core values, our deep yearning to actually make an impact. By forcing himself to look beneath the surface, Dr. Zhang reconnected with his fundamental desire to help people. He found the courage to stay in medicine, but he did something brilliant. He channeled all that hospital stress into a brand new outlet, becoming a highly successful content creator to educate the public. And this brilliantly illustrates what true connection is all about, which is actually captured perfectly in language itself. If you deconstruct the traditional Chinese character for listen, ting, it's not just one symbol, it's a combination. First, it requires the ear to physically hear the spoken words. Then it requires the eyes to observe the person's body language and presence. And most importantly, it requires the heart to truly feel their underlying intent. If even one of these three things is missing, you aren't really listening, and you can't form a genuine connection. So, once we've done the work, looked inward, and weathered the absolute lows, how do we actively face the challenges of the world? Well, that brings us to our final phase. Section 3. Humor and Challenge. Conquering adversity. Let's talk about Brandon. Brandon grew up in Taiwan as a mixed-race kid, and unfortunately, that made him a massive target for severe bullying. Now, the natural human response to bullying is usually fight or flight, right? But Brandon built up this completely different, highly effective armor. He just completely refused to take things too seriously. He started using self-deprecating humor and this incredibly sharp wit to completely disarm the bullies. By refusing to give them the anger or the fear they were looking for, he literally managed to turn his worst adversaries into friends. For Brandon's resilience wasn't just about being funny, it was actually deeply rooted in history. He draws a ton of strength from what we can call the Miyamoto Musashi mindset. If you don't know, Musashi was this legendary historic samurai. The guy survived 60 life-or-death duels, invented an entirely new two-sword fighting style, and wrote the Book of Five Rings, which is basically the ultimate guide to strategy. Brandon took that exact, unflinching warrior spirit and channeled it to handle life's absolute heaviest blows, including the tragic passing of his own father. It's all about facing life's battles with absolute internal discipline and a spirit that simply cannot be broken. All of these stories, leaving the comfort zone, surviving the absolute bottom, facing down challenges, they all point to one ultimate realization about how we should be living our lives. Section 4. The Infinite Game Shared Success. Let's bring this all the way back to Adaki to really tie it all together. He talks about this crucial transition from playing the finite game to playing the infinite game. In a finite game, you view life as this zero-sum competition. It's all about winning versus losing. The mindset is, if you win, I must be losing, and that just breeds jealousy. But true self-growth demands we make the shift to an infinite game mindset. This is where you focus on expanding the pie for everyone. It is all about shared success. It's developing the ability to look at a peer who is just absolutely crushing it, overcoming your natural human instinct to be jealous, and instead sincerely celebrating them. You draw inspiration from their success instead of letting it make you bitter. Ultimately, playing this infinite game and actively walking on the left side of that escalator, it all comes down to reaching a state of true authenticity. There's a deeply moving quote that was actually omitted from the famous book The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse that perfectly sums up this entire journey. Freedom is being allowed to feel sorrow while living as your authentic self. Listen to that. You don't have to be perfectly toxically happy all the time to be a success. True freedom, true growth, is simply having the guts to exist as your genuine self, feeling every single high and low that comes your way, instead of just blindly living up to the expectations of society or some corporate machine. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, absolutely vital question to ask yourself today. Take a hard look at your career, your relationships, and just your daily mindset. Are you playing a finite game, constantly stressing over who happens to be a few steps ahead of you on the escalator? Or are you playing an infinite game, actively walking on the left side, continually growing, and actually helping the people around you rise up with you? The choice is entirely yours. Keep learning, keep walking, and I will see you in the next one.